Backpocket presents Golden Nuggets. There are golden nuggets in every podcast we do. Here are our 3 golden nuggets. Enjoy.
Virtual reality and humans 2.0. I mean, and you mentioned that you were on a podcast last year that kind of inspired you to start your own podcast. I mean, your story in the podcast industry is awesome. Your story on LinkedIn is awesome, dude. You're probably the savviest user of LinkedIn we know. So that is mad props to you. Let's tap into virtual reality first. Kind of where did you see that and how did you get into it?
Yeah, so I had always been aware a little bit about virtual reality. I remember seeing it at the mall or at the Microsoft store where they have it on demo. And I had played some of the games, but I didn't really think of it too much. And it was only until I really a big part in me kind of getting a hold on my life was the concept of creating a future for myself. Because I learned that, if you don't have something to strive forward to tomorrow, then you become hopeless. And you think that, what's happening right now today is going to be no better than what's to come tomorrow. So that was a major part of it. And part of that, discovery was just looking out in the future and seeing what kinds of different, so now that I have a real understanding of technology, right? Through the server, and I started to realize different things. So the biggest realization that made me understand the power of technology was so I was said, my parents are from Egypt. I've been there, visited there. It's a great place. But in 2012, they had a revolution. There was this thing called the Arab Spring. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but it's basically where a bunch of Middle Eastern countries in a very short period just all revolted against their governments that were tyrannies or just were bad, and they kicked people out. It was just this this beginning of this freedom, depending on who you ask. And I remember I was talking to my cousins because they still live in Egypt, and some of the stuff that happened was horrible. It wasn't too bad, but one of the things that he told me was when it was first happening, some of the graffiti that was up on the walls, on some of the buildings, was a blue square with the white F, meaning Facebook. And that's because literally the entire revolution started from a Facebook group chat. Wow. That's how these things start. So that stuff started happening. I started to see the server and I was wait, there's something that's totally different going on. And while I didn't necessarily get it in this way back then, that's when I started to really understand the power of technology. Okay. So for me, once I understood that, it was just a natural progression in me understanding where the future is going to go with all the exponential technology. So I'm talking about things like artificial intelligence, IoT, the Internet of Things, blockchain, virtual reality, augmented reality, medical nanobots, biotech, so many different exponential technologies are coming out, which basically means a bunch of different industries are being created at the same time. And these technologies are being accelerated so fast that when they come together, they actually accelerate faster. So it's kind of if you look at what everyone has in their pocket today, an iPhone, that's a supercomputer that's 1,000,000 times more powerful, 1,000 times cheaper, 1,000 times more portable than the United States president had 20 years ago. You've just got to start projecting on what's going to happen in the future, 5, 10, 20 years when these things get super small. And then eventually they become the size of this atom nanobot, and you can put it in your bloodstream. And this concept of technology isn't really this thing that you have to think about. It's just this thing that just kind of helps you on your own life. So that was part of it. And I looked into virtual reality. That was the one that kind of spoke to me, because I just realized that it's not just being used for video games, and it's not just this gimmick. Did you know that, Walmart, for example, one of the biggest employers of the country, is using virtual reality to train their employees. And they have a bunch of these centers in the back of their stores where they have virtual reality headsets in combination with different artificial intelligence technologies that actually like train them how to do everything, because it's like not only cheaper, it's also way more efficient. And it's the person learns and learns by doing way faster. They retain the information way better. It's just like this crazy experience, and it's cheaper. So there's like that example. Another example is like the US military is using virtual reality in certain cases to treat veterans that have PTSD. So it's like, you look at a problem like PTSD, for example, and other like mental traumas that happen, and you start to think like, okay, how is the solution being tackled today? Okay, so there's like prescription drugs, which is like, some of it's helpful and some of it's causing like the opiate epidemic, which in America is like this gigantic thing that's going on right now. And it's like, what if we could use this technology to actually help people instead? Boston's Children's Hospital is using it to do different demos with kids to like distract them, and also people that are in pain. VR has actually been shown to be more effective than morphine at pain killing. So there's that. So it's like all these different uses. So I was just like, hey, how can I get involved in this industry? So like in the next 10, 15 years, I can like at least try to be somebody in like 10, 15, like somebody revolutionary within that industry. So like I started this company called View Dream that basically began to try to distribute VR headsets around the world. So like we tried to do a bunch of different things, like get them in classrooms, do like different programs where we would give you like a free one. We started launching like different content things on the internet online. We basically ended up having like a super successful like just over like through a year's period of just like marketing successfully, we became like one of the top 10 virtual reality websites. Like our site was getting viewed like millions of times. Eventually, like other CEOs of VR companies started reaching out to us, and they're like, hey, what can we do to work together to get some of the results that you're getting on us? So like that's really what we've been morphing into and shifting into, kind of like this growth agency for virtual and augmented reality companies. And the future for us is 5-10 years out to actually start developing VR software for certain solutions that like we think VR has a good shot at maybe tackling in the world. A big one for me is kind of mental health, and I'm forming another organization called Metamorphosis that's actually sole purpose is to tackle mental health by using these different technologies. Like for me, what I realized growing up is I had all sorts of different health problems. Like when I was 6 months, I almost died because I had like different like bacterial infections, and like my health has never really been like the stable thing up until 3 years ago when like I decided to make a change. So like
What
I
was that
actually
thing exactly?
yeah, so like the change for me was just like kind of going on like this tale where like this journey, like just kind of thinking of myself as like the hero of my own story. And I'm like, if my grandkids are looking at this day right now, like what would I be doing? So it's just like kind of like thinking in that kinds of perspective and like what I want to be doing in life. So like for me, it was just like getting clear on like why I'm alive and like what I'm doing every single day.
What is like your average quality in the sense of like, man, I tried this for the first time and I just sucked at it, or something that you maybe do well sometimes but you struggle with it other times. What would that be?
Um, Dude, honestly, if I'm being totally honest with you, honestly, I think everything. Like I just think that like like I'll tell you this, the way that I'll answer your question is one of the biggest mind-blowing things that I've learned through interviewing a bunch of people on my podcast, like over 175 people like Seth Godin, like one of the greatest authors of our time, Naveen Jain, somebody that has like a space company. The biggest takeaway that I could possibly translate to somebody, it's this. People that are like super, super successful, they're literally like they sometimes get the same thoughts as you. Like they are afraid, they have doubts, they have insecurities. Like some of them might go onto podcasts and they're like, "Oh, was that like they're all the same." But what they do differently is they just do it instead. And eventually, what ends up happening is people don't remember your failures. Like you'll just be kind of known for those successes, and like eventually, if you kind of like construct this narrative, um, people will kind of like remember you by that. So like that the reason I answer that question that way is I just think like I don't learn things fast. Like it takes me a while to get my groove on with like anything new that I do. Um, I'm always trying to do that better. But it's like I don't think I'm necessarily like good at like this one particular thing. I just think I'm always at bat. Like I'm always trying. Like
You're always doing it.
I'm always doing it, and it's like some of them are gonna suck. Actually, a lot of them have sucked, but it's like I don't even care. Like that's just part of the process. That's just part of the journey because I know when I like look back in like 20 years, I'm gonna be like, dude, remember when I was 21 and I was like, featured on Forbes and I was doing this and I was talking to all these people and it's just going to be like a super funny thing and I'm just going to laugh at all this stuff. So it's like even that stuff and even like the serious stuff that happens in life, like I just think it's all about just like doing it and, thinking about it later.
Let's get to our what did you learn segment.
Mm-hmm.
This is a staple of the Back Pocket. If you have listened to all 77 episodes of the Back Pocket, we answer what we learned every day on every episode. So, on the 42nd podcast of season 2, Declan Brown, what did you learn today?
I learned that I listened to a human evolution podcast today, and I learned that humans developed or have always had a knack for throwing things. And this developed at an early stage and really was a pinnacle of us as a human race evolving so fast. Because before, think of like a monkey trying to defend itself against a lion. You would need 80 to 90 monkeys by hand to beat this lion. But the second they figured out how to throw, then they could kill that lion from a distance. Having the range to beat down a lion or kill a lion was huge. And so when you look at kids, they're always chucking stuff. It's a natural habit. It's a natural thing. And that's what I learned. I was like, it blew my mind that like something as simple as throwing was something that was a pinnacle part as to why we're here.
So so monkeys are doing it because they're afraid. They're not usually doing it because they're trying to kill it. They're afraid they're going to die.
They're defending themselves.
Yeah.
Yes.
So are babies trying to kill their parents?
I don't know. When you give a 4-year-old a baseball, he's pretty lethal.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Okay.
I knew
so
that
something
at
to
least.
think about.
Yeah, definitely something to think about there.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you learn, man?
I learned, so this came right off of Mark Metry's podcast, and when he was talking about the evolution of VR and where that's headed, and all like how eventually it's going to be like we're not even going to think twice about technology. It's just going to be life.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, whoa, like that's sweet. I love that. All right, so I was like thinking about like where we came from and like the evolution of our Back Pocket podcast and then you kind of mentioned this as well, was like this is coming from scratch, nothing. The Back Pocket was zero. It was non-existence. It was all just open territory.
Mm-hmm.
And we built a little hut and we started a fire and we were able to warm our bodies and just slowly grow. And then we eventually were able to create a river and find a water source to like hydrate ourselves and then streamline something and figure out how to quickly expand and build this community. And like you can come up with analogy after analogy of how a community is started from literally nothing. And that was the Back Pocket. And we're probably like 3-4 huts. Maybe we got like a 2-story building in there right now.
Mm-hmm.
But like we are just this tiny little community that we're starting to see a little success from, and it's just super inspirational. And we're wrapping up season 2 here, December 20th. So for all those Back Pocket listeners, those marketing interns, those learners right now, we're finishing this season on December 20th with a marketing intern spotlight. That's just going to be Deck and I. It's going to be a blast. But before we get to that, we got to wrap up this season too and continue to build these grassroots, this little community that we got. And we're so happy that these marketing interns, all you listeners out there right now, are enjoying what we're able to provide.
Dude, that's awesome. I freaking love that. And it's great to see like the water resource is just represents the life, and then that next opportunity. And when it's survival, not only in the podcast world but in real life, it's do or die, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's like how we haven't really thought of our podcast as do or die, but we've always operated like it was do or die, no matter what we've done. So that was the best. What did we've learned, or that was the best. What did you learn of all time? I think from you. That was phenomenal.
Thanks.
Great monologue, man.
All right, Sam.
What did you learn, Sam?
Yeah, mine's probably gonna be better than that actually.
Sweet.
Okay. Wow,
So
hot take.
I think one trend we're gonna see here is that my what did I learn is usually a lot less serious than your guys's, probably because my life is a little less serious than your guys's right now. I miss summer. Learned that today. It's freezing out today. Bank account is down, not working as much as I did this summer. Tan's gone. Not really motivated to keep the body up to par, I'm gonna be on the boat, shirtless with people.
Yeah, it's hibernating season.
Yeah. So, I miss the sun. I'm already sick of the cold. It's literally like December 1st. It's about to be. And I miss summer.
Yo, Spin Zone.
Do you guys miss summer?
We love the winter.
I like aspects of the winter.
What do you like about the winter?
Pond hockey.
Okay,
That's
that's
like
good.
the most Minnesotan thing I could have said.
Okay,
But snow,
Yeah.
Okay. Pond hockey, snowmobiling,
Hunting.
ice fishing, spearing.
Okay.
You guys ever been spearing before?
No.
Okay.
Can
We're gonna go spearing up in my lake.
Yeah, please
Okay.
take
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
Can you? Yeah, I was just gonna say, because you seem like you're so Minnesotan, and you are for sure, but you seem way more Minnesotan just because Andrew and I are the most non-Minnesotan people, I feel like. So yeah, can you take us on a couple of Minnesotan adventures?
Yeah, I would actually love that.
Okay, that'd be sick.
I would love to be the tour guide. I'll take you guys up north, take you guys on my lake, show you guys how to spear, show you guys how to play pond hockey.
I don't shoot a gun, so I'll spear though.
I'm not Scandinavian though, so I can't make you guys like Lefse or Lutefisk or
That's
any of
okay.
that, which
No
you don't
worries.
want this stuff anyway.
I don't
so
need
it's
that.
Pretty gross, but
Andy,
I'll take
what
you
do
on some trips though. Yeah.
what do you love about the winter, Andrew?
Okay, so we were just talking about this the other day. Why I love the winter, dude, is because it's just such a gritty atmosphere. Like Declan's talking about how he goes to his construction job and he's just got to embody like the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's just got to be a gritty ass dude out there, just like just got to grind. That's all you have to do. And it's like you're in the Steel City right now and you just got to work.
That's literally how I feel.
That's how you feel.
At 5 a.m. on the 11th floor of a building that's just blowing wind.
Yeah. So then you're getting out there in the winter, and like when you want to go outside, you just have to just be like, fuck it. Like I'm about to be so cold, and you have to literally tell yourself, I'm not gonna be cold. I'm gonna walk down the street to get my groceries, to get this case of beer, and throw it over my shoulder that I was able to do all summer and love this thing. Now I do it in the winter, and it's just like
Earn it.
Yeah, you gotta earn this 24 rack of Michelob Golden Light, and that's why I'm earning every single moment I go outside. It's kind of just these small little victories versus the things that you can just easily have access to during the summer.
I'm not that deep. I just miss the boat. I mean, and like summer concerts outside.
Andy Serious.
Andy Serious.
And Cowboy Jack's patio.
Yeah.
That's a big thing I miss too.
Yeah. Cowboy Jack's is
miss that
phenomenal.
place, yeah.
Slim's doesn't even operate anymore because it's just all patio.
Yeah, I mean,
Unbelievable.
You guys don't miss that?
How about this, though?
You guys would rather be gritty, like the Pittsburgh Steelers, instead of going to Cowboy Slim's and going on the patio?
Fuck, dude.
Here's-
I don't know.
Like the
Here's
double
what I like,
patio
though.
there, that place is sick.
Hold on, dude. You can give me a triple patio, and here's what I'll take over your triple patio. I'll take going up to Whistler and just going down Spanky's Ladder. It's blowing it's a blizzard snow. You can barely see anything, but you're just crushing and loving that deep powder, that just making turns. I love skiing. I love winter. And like, there's a gritty aspect to that where it's just survival and such a different
Mr. Summer
experience.
over here, dude.
I don't mind the cold.
Okay.
I don't mind winter, but I would definitely just take summer over winter any day. Especially Minnesota summer is just, I don't know. I like the lake and
I don't know,
the
dude.
warmth and cabins and beer and.
Sure.
I mean, I guess you can drink that in the winter, but
Yeah.
it just tastes a lot better in the summer, Also, having money, that's a big thing because I'm an intern.
Okay.
So
Yeah. You're
I
not
was
getting paid a lot.
Yeah, I was working like 40 hours a week this summer, and now I'm.
Dude, you're making good money here, though.
Yeah, you're making really good money here.
You guys pay pretty good for a guy that presses the button.
Yeah.
You know.
That's pretty cool. But enough about this
Blast,
weather, dude.
Yeah, that was our newest segment, fall or winter or summer, featuring the back pocket. So
great title there, Deck.
Yeah, thanks. I
Creative.
had to workshop it in my head a little bit. It wasn't coming out just right, you know.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in to this week's Golden Nuggets. If you want to watch this version of Golden Nuggets, go onto YouTube and search the Backpocket Podcast. You'll go under that channel and you'll be able to find everything you need. If you want to read the Golden Nuggets, go to yourbackpockets.com. That's with an S, yourbackpockets.com. And go under the tab blog, because that's where you'll be able to read it. If you want to interact with us, go on to social media, the Backpocket Podcast on Instagram, or on Twitter, _the Backpocket. You know the drill. Interact with us. We love your interaction. Take care.